It's a little bit foggy. It's like I'm standing on the end of the world, but that's okay. The things we do. Yeah, got out here yesterday afternoon um, and got the fire going, and then I made dinner, a little lamb roast thing, and sat down and ate that, and then rang mum because that's what you're meant to do, and that was a good chat. And then it was time to turn the music up and sit in front of the fire and enjoy life. And last night it was stunning outside. Seriously, it was just incredible, really. The stars were at their full force, and could see the entire Milky Way belt as it stretched from the southeast to the from the northeast to the southwest. There's clearly sheep out there, although you can't see them. And but man, the satellites were just everywhere last night. The night was so clear, and they were just crisscrossing the sky every 5 seconds. It was just incredible. And then I saw about three or four meteorites come through. Some of them just less than even, far less than a second. You know, they're just in and out, gone, just that quick. So it sort of gets to the point where you've kind of got to be looking the right way, otherwise you simply just don't see them. But luckily, most of them were coming in from pretty much following the arm of the Milky Way galaxy. So, you know, and that's exactly what I was looking at. Hey, Zhao Bloxy. So this is my view. This is what I'm looking at right now, albeit very foggy. Hey, Ilka, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe. This is from Australia, mate. So standing in Australia, the sheep are bleating, and there's a plane going overhead somewhere, but it's very foggy at the moment. We're in the middle of our winter, so hey Kendall, how you doing? So yeah, it's a little bit cold here at the moment, but it's not as cold as last weekend, which was just ridiculous. And I ended up going home because it was just warmer at home. But yeah, maybe I should turn this way so you guys can actually, well, not that you can really see much. I mean, there's the sun that's trying to. Where am I from? I'm from Australia, the state of South Australia. So, which is where I'm standing right now. So that's the sun trying to peek through the fog, trying to burn it off. So, which is why I haven't been able to do much this morning, because it's been too foggy. But that's okay. My campsite's quite warm, so it's not so bad. Yeah, so last night was just amazing. There's no city lights out here, so whenever you're sitting outside by the campfire, you just look up and you see billions. Australia, down under, mate. So if you see a map, and there's Iran, basically head south southeast, and so Australia, New Zealand, we're just below Indonesia. Hey, Optical, how you doing? So yeah, some people don't speak English, so I think they're doing rather well. But anyway, so yeah, last night was just freaking amazing, and you saw the photos, Optical, but oh my God, to be here in person was just, it was kind of one of those nights where where the stars are so bright, and there's just so many of them, and the air is just so clear. Yeah, I mean, look, the people are fine. like so many other countries, Ilko, it's not the people, it's the government. So the people are generally fine. The governments are just off on another planet. I don't know. So yeah, proper skies. I mean, the camera sort of tends to pick up the colours of the universe. So, whereas when you're actually sitting there, you don't actually see those colours. You do see that cloud that sort of runs through. But you don't actually see the colours. So when you point the camera at it, the camera picks up the colours, which is pretty cool. But otherwise, they're just, I mean, what you saw on those photos is exactly how you see it. Except it just, like, you look at this sky and imagine every single star and satellite and everything else. It's virtually an unrestricted view of the entire sky. So it just dominates. Those sheep are... I'm just going to go quiet for a second, and see if you can hear the sheep. There's obviously a few down there, and there's some on the other side of the road. They're rather boisterous. I think it's the fog. As soon as it's foggy, they just go off their nut. It's almost like they can't see or something. And they go off at night as well, especially if they're wandering past your paddock. Oh, hang on a sec. Yeah, there they are. I can see a few. They're obviously spread across a fair range. There's probably about 200 or 300 sheep down there. So, hey, Click. G'day, Arthur. How you doing? What am I doing? I'm standing in the middle of the bush. Literally in the middle of the bush. That's what's behind me, by the way, just in case you were vaguely interested. Excuse me. I think the sheep have got more to say than I do. That's rather weird. But yeah, so I've got a couple of things I want to get done today. I do need to get more timber. It's one of the joys of this time of the year where you can have a fire, but you tend to go through it fairly quickly. So you're forever basically out there looking for more, or cutting down sort of old branches and doing things like that. So yeah, that's all right, Kendall. They come and go, mate. So I wouldn't take it personally. He's probably still there. He's just listening. So yeah, it's I've got to get out there and do a bit of chopping of wood. Although I'm going to wait until this fog lifts. Although it used to be that the fog used to lift around about 10 o'clock, but it seems to be hanging around a lot longer these days. I don't know what it is. It is sort of breaking up, but it sort of has its moments. And I want to get out and have a little bit of fun with a couple of my toys, because it's been a while since I've had a go. Which means I've got to go right out into the back paddocks and basically do it from there, so that way I don't bother too many people. Although with the wind sort of barely thinking about blowing at the moment, it has its moments, but it's whatever noise I create is going to be heard for miles anyway, so I don't think I'm going to be hiding too well. But training, got to be in training, got to be doing the right things, and I can do that out here, which is nice. So yeah, so I've got to keep doing that, and I've got everything ready to go, but I'm not going out there like this, not when I can't see. So, but yeah, and then tonight I'll have the fire going again, and I think it's going to come in cloudy, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And you know, as long as it's nice enough to sit outside, that's the main thing. As long as it's not pouring down and blowing a gale, so you know, it should be fine. And then tomorrow I will meander back home again. G'day, Austin. How you doing? That's today's view. For those that haven't seen it. Yeah, it is clearing a little bit. It's still pretty thick that way though. But you've got butcher birds, you've got crows, the sheep. It sounds like it's in pain. God, they're just incredible. And their bleats just go for miles. It's just, there is a couple of sheep down there. You probably can't see them, but they're virtually, if you follow the scrub line, they're just above the scrub line, the top of the tree line. Two little white dots, heads down, bums up, all heading south, because that's what sheep do at this time of the morning. Don't ask me why. They all head north in the afternoon and they head south in the morning. It's the weirdest thing. Hey Mary, how you doing? So let's go for a bit of a walk, shall we? It's a good thing I know where I'm going. I don't know whether I'll lose signal, but because we like going for walks. I used to do 1.5 walks out here. So some of the many trails you see out here, there's that one there. That's from a kangaroo. We do get a lot of flowers out here. So there's a little yellow one. Probably wrong here for everything to be flowering, but and then you get the spider webs with the morning dew all over them, which actually look quite amazing, really. And this track here was originally going to be a vehicle track, and but the guy that actually owns the property decided that it was probably best to, there's enough access ways through here, so since then the sheep and all the wildlife and everything else pretty much uses it. And of course you get a bit of a, well, we don't really get rivers here, but the water certainly goes downhill here. There's another kangaroo track. So you can see where their front claws have dug in. And yes, they do have reasonable claws. And that's the paddock behind this hill. So I'll just go up here a little bit just to see if we can get a better view. Hopefully it's not buffering too much. I apologise, I'm looking at the so there's another one of those tracks that sort of winds its way up and back over the hill. So, sorry, I was just looking at what you guys were talking about as I'm wandering through the scrub. Excuse me. Someone's making a lot of noise down there. And here's another one of those little spider webs. There are spiders here. You pick them up in the light at night time, but none of them bother you. You know, they're just not interested in us. And it's a bit like a lot of the other animals around here. As soon as they see you, they run in the opposite direction. So none of them really care. You know, so I've never found it at all, not even for a second, unsafe out here. You know, they've all got their own little lives that they lead, and we've got ours, I guess. So, and that's the thing, you know, even with the sheep, you know, they don't care about anything. All they care about is eating constantly, having a bit of whoopee every now and again, and just living until they're all rounded up and taken off to the market, I guess. But they've got a pretty decent life out here. They just wander wherever they want, eat whatever they want, and they've got some pretty big areas that they can walk around in and do their thing. You know, they've got predators, obviously the foxes. We'll try and have a go at them, but foxes are actually not too bad. They tend to just have a go for actual food. We do get wild cats out here as well, which are unlike any domesticated cat. They're about 2 or 3 times bigger than a domestic cat. But they just have the tendency of killing for no reason. But otherwise, I mean, it's not too bad. That's a lorikeet or a galah, bloody galahs, sulphur crested. We get a lot of those out here, sulphur crested cockatoos. They actually mate for life. So once they find a mate, they tend to be with them. They don't muck around. And they live for about 70 or 80 years, so about the same length of time as a human, and they're quite plentiful out here. Bloody noisy buggers. Dumb as 2 cents. You know, they'll sit in the middle of the road if they find a pile of seed or something like that that's been dumped on the road. They'll just sit there and just gorge themselves stupid. Problem is, when you're driving towards them, they're so bloody heavy from all the food they've eaten, they can't get off the road. So, you know, you end up having to come to a screaming halt while they basically wait to get off the road. And unfortunately a few of them do get hit, but you know, there's not much you can do about it, especially if you're travelling at 50 or 60 mile an hour. Sorry, I must have missed something then. Sorry, I'm busy yakking around, and you guys are lives there. You got a heat wave there, Mary. Sorry, I'm just going back through the comments because I'm sitting here quite happily talking to myself. You guys are probably asking things, and you know. But anyway, I'll leave you guys alone. You guys can talk. Oh, there goes a crow. Crows are buggers as well. They sort of hang around the new lambs, unfortunately, and you know, everything has to eat out here, I guess. But you know, it's survival of the fittest, as they say. So, but yeah, and that's really all it is out here. It's just purely survival. You know, the sheep sort of tend to sort of mob together at night time, so you know, they're more protected. Those sheep over there are having a bit of a lie down because they would have been up all night, so they tend to sleep during the day. It's a little bit safer for them to do so. Yeah, how about we go? I'm going to go up that hill because I can. So more kangaroo tracks. Damn things are everywhere out here. Most of them have gone to bed by now, so they sort of tend to be a little bit nocturnal. They sleep at night, or sleep during the day and feed at night. You do see them during the day, but you know, probably more rare to see them during the day than what it is at night time. So there's some more little flowers struggling to survive. More of those little yellow ones. And there's a whole bunch of sheep on the other side of the road. So if you can see the road and that group of trees over there, and then there's a separate tree just to the right of that, or left for you guys, is a bunch of sheep just walking this way. And then all across the hills I can see sheep. They're everywhere. And then out here, about halfway between the tree line and the road, there's actually 4 sheep there, both mothers with lambs. Just lying down, having a bit of a snooze. And oh my God, there's someone riding a bike along the road. The things you see out here, seriously. That's someone that is way fitter than I am. It's all I'm gonna say. Oh my Lord. That is just the weirdest thing I've ever seen out here, I think. What the hell is he riding a bike out here for? Oh my Lord. Yeah, it's currently 9:53 a.m. Where I'm standing right now. So it is definitely morning. And this fog ain't going away, which is just annoying. row over there somewhere. Apparently sometimes I'll stand up here at midnight and just do things, you know, just bar at sheep. And the funniest part is when they bloody start answering back. But I think they're too involved in their own little conversations at the moment that they're not really worried about it. G'day, Jose. So, yeah. This is why you come out here. It's just absolute peace. There would have to be 500 sheep over the other side of the road. And they're all heading north. God, they're still coming. So the main mob is basically there, but there's other sheep running all the way down there, and they're all running towards the main mob, and the main mob are bloody moving. They are not sitting still. Something spooked them. They're sprinting. That's just weird. If I didn't know any better, I'd say there's dogs out there chasing them, but there's no dogs out there. Sorry, I don't know whether you guys can see this, but and they're still coming from over here. So that's where the main mob is. And they're probably spread out over the length of about 1 kilometre, or half a kilometre. So about 500 metres, I'd say more than that, to be honest. Because originally they were all walking this way, and now all of a sudden they've just started running that way. And there's nothing over there that's chasing them. There's nothing that's chasing them. It's weird. And they're very boisterous. Yeah, it's 9:57 a.m. So, for those that haven't seen sheep on a big paddock, that's what they do. Got a mind unto themselves. So the way he runs them out here is basically puts a couple of rams in with each flock, and basically the sheep are actually what they call daupers. That's D-A-U-P-E-R-S. They're a pretty ugly sheep, I got to be honest. They do grow wool, but it's not commercial. It actually ends up just falling off them. So they you can't take them in for shearing. And the reason he does that is to obviously save the money to you know, he doesn't have to get shearers out here to shear them. They are a good meat sheep. So the meat is actually a lot different or a lot more tastier than your standard sort of sheep. The other reason is that you don't get fly blown or anything like that, which does happen in certain varieties of sheep, the flies tend to hang around and the sheep get diseased and die off. So Dorpers aren't too bad. The negative about them, your fencing needs to be much better than a standard sort of wool sheep, because they're little buggers, and if they see a bit of grass on another side of the fence that they want to get to, they'll do whatever it takes to get through the fence. So your fencing does need to be much better than the standard sort of merino or English, whatever they're called, sheep. So yeah, he keeps the rams in with the ewes, and of course the ewes get bred. Sometimes they'll have twins, sometimes they'll have singles, and then basically once they've given birth, so normally what you'll find is the mother who's about to give birth will wander off and 2 other ewes will go with them, and then they'll give birth, and then about 6 weeks later they're ready to go again. They're ready to be funky timed again by the ram, and they get pregnant again. So that's why you keep the rams in with the ewes, so that they can continuously produce whenever they're naturally ready to go again. And basically the lambs, he rounds them all up, and then takes them to the market. They're still too young to be sent off to the factory, so he sells them at about 3 months old, and then somebody else buys them and then raises them up for another 3 months before they're pretty much taken to the factory. And that's, while he's doing it that way, he doesn't have to worry about everything, like all the ongoing maintenance with the lambs. So he'll take a truckload up to the markets probably once a month, because this isn't the only mob he's got out here. He's got several other mobs and he's got other farms as well. So it keeps a good steady income basically coming in, because this farm isn't actually cropped, so there's no crops out here. The soil is basically such that you would actually need to heavily fertilise it to actually get anything to grow that's commercially available. Obviously plenty of other stuff grows out here, but just not wheat and lucerne and beans and things like that they broadacre crop quite frequently out here. So it's to do with the weather, it's to do with the soil type. You know, there's a lot involved in farming that a lot of people just don't think about. Funnily enough, out here there's 2 highways. There's the main highway that goes from Adelaide to Melbourne, and then there's the Mallee, what we call the Mallee Highway. And anything probably about 2 kilometres on either side of that road grows like nuts, which is where most of the broadacre cropping is. And it's the same down on the main highway through to Melbourne. The soil, for some reason, along both those highways is exceptionally good at producing broadacre cropping. But you get in between those 2, and it's dead. It is completely dead. So, you know, which is why we've got a lot of sheep, and there are farms that have cattle and things like that on them as well. But yeah, it's just you look like the old man from the movie Up. Oh, great. I'll just grab my balloons and lift my house off the ground. Woohoo! You're in the Aussie Twilight Zone. You're speaking from Brasilia. Nice. We've got all sorts of people here. So yeah, So that's, yeah, farming is not as easy as what a lot of people think. There's a lot of ongoing maintenance. So, you know, I mean, at this time of the year, the sheep don't actually drink a lot of water. They get most of their water out of the plants, out of the grasses that they eat. And obviously, on a morning like this, everything is drenched. You know, from the morning dew. So you know, they get quite a bit of water out of that. But during the summer months, they go through quite a lot of water. So, and a lot of the water out here is gravity fed from the rainwater tanks, which basically are full of bore water. So there's a diesel generator that I've shown before that drags the water up. They used to be on windmills, but the groundwater is now probably around about 80 to 90 metres below the surface. And unfortunately, the old Southern Cross windmills just don't have the strength to be able to bring that sort of water up. So a lot of guys have gone with the diesel generators to bring it up. And it feeds into a rainwater tank, which has a float valve. And that water then feeds out to all the troughs around the farm that are all based on, again, you know, float valves. So once the float valve gets down below a certain point, the water starts pumping through, and hey presto. So the troughs never really go empty. So they've got to be out here basically every couple of days to make sure the troughs are, you know, troughs are all still working. So they'll do a trough run. So they'll run around to all the troughs, clean them all out, get the water flowing again. They don't use chemicals in the water out here. Some farms do. But the sheep are more than happy to drink the bore water, which is far too salty for human consumption. You know, you'd need some way of removing all the salt first. But otherwise, the water's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no chemicals in it. There's no additives. There's nothing. It is what it is. And for those who want to use a life straw, or you know, who are thinking of you know, especially in terms of bug out bags and stuff like that, if you're packing a life straw, I'm sorry, but if you come across a trough, it ain't going to filter salt. Just ask me how I know, because I've actually tested all the water filters that are currently, or that were on the market at the time, on bore water, because I knew the water was completely safe. And not one of them could filter salt. Not a single one. So if you think you live by the ocean and you've got your trusty life straw in your bug out bag, yeah, I got a story for you. It ain't going to work. So start thinking about another way of trying to do it. And the funny thing is that a lot of these water filters that you can buy from camping stores or online tell you that they will filter 98% of all particulates. Yeah, guess what that other little bit is? It's salt. They just can't filter it. And my question would have to be, well, if it can't filter a salt particle, which you would think would be exponentially bigger than anything else, how's it filtering anything else? I'm sorry, but I don't really trust them that much anymore. And maybe it's just me, but if it can't filter out bloody salt water, then what's the point of the damn thing? You know, yeah, you need a desalination plant. It's just, yeah, I mean, I was astounded. I honestly thought, you know, your life straws, your all these various water filters would easily filter it out, but nope. I took one sip of it, and it was like, oh my god, it was like tasting brine water. It was just so incredibly salty. I mean, there are ways you can do it. You know, I mean, the only way I mean, beyond getting a still and setting it all up and, you know, trying to do all that sort of rubbish, because who wants to carry that crap around? The other way is to simply collect as much water as you can, boil it, and somehow direct the steam off into some other container, because that's effectively what a desalinisation thing does. You know, so if you've got a water container, you know, the idea would be to sit it over the top of the fire and simply boil the shit out of it. And whatever steam is coming up, you know, because obviously water condenses, turns into steam. If you can direct that off into some other container and do that probably a couple of times, you're going to end up with fresh water. And whatever salt was in the water is going to be left in your container. Okay, it's going to end up filling with salt, but you know, at least you got fresh water. You know, and that's really the only way to do it. Because I mean, who's going to carry around the sort of gear that's going to get rid of salt in a bloody bug out bag? You're just not. So you know, if you're filtering it through some sort of water filter, and so you've filtered out, according to their records, 97-98% of all particulates, then the only thing really to get rid of is the salt. So then, okay, boil it and somehow collect the vapours from the steam, let it run down into a separate container, and hopefully that's good enough. You know, because I honestly can't think of another way to do it without having to make a copper still, and you know, some way of basically doing it almost commercially. Because if you're out here and you're thirsty as, you can only really use what's in your bag. So that's the way I sort of see it anyway, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some people can tell me something different, but yeah, that's why you can't do it at sea. Yeah, it's look, bore water isn't much different to seawater, really. It's basically water that's collected underground after millions of years of rainfall, and it forms natural pools under the ground, and over time that becomes millions of litres of water that's basically underground. You can walk through the middle of a desert and never realise you've got an ocean, you know, 100 feet below your feet. You know, and that's been the case in a lot of countries. So, you know, it's you know, the problem with that is that if it happens to be in a pocket where there's salt reserves, well, that salt ends up filtering all the way through the water. And being that this area used to be under the ocean millions of years ago, basically means that all that salt had to go somewhere. And unfortunately, it's gone through all the dirt, soil, everything else. So when rain falls, it has to pass through all that, and it takes it all with it. And it ends up in the underground aquifers. And of course, when you go to pump it back up again, the water's salty. Gee, I wonder why. So yeah, there's got to be a way of actually dealing with it. So a couple of birds, a couple of butcher birds. So, but yeah, it's the more you get to know about this landscape, the more interesting it becomes. I absolutely adore it out here, always have. And so we'll just head up to the very top of the hill. That would be a motorbike. Clearly they've woken up. Surprise, surprise. So we're just going right to the very top of this hill. see it, but there's more sheep down there. The other lot are all the way over there. So if you can see that bit of scrub, they're just that way. The little white dots. We're not at the top of the hill yet. And they go, how do you know where you're going, where camp is? Yeah, it's not how they have here. Besides the point, I leave footsteps. So all you got to do is follow your footsteps back. We got some sort of fungus growing on the tree, but we're now a long way up. See more orange fungus off the trees. So we've got a group of sheep just there. We've got a group of sheep over there. There's more sheep on the other side of the road. I don't have a motorbike, Kendall. I don't like them. Yeah. Wish I can pop in for a voice chat. We're going to have to organise that at some point, mate. I'm about as techno-phobic as it comes, so if you ever hear me talking to someone online, it's not because I knew how to. It's simply because I somehow managed to do it, and I don't know how to do it again. So it is, and I'm doing this directly through YouTube today, so which means it probably won't it'll upload, but it won't upload for like the next 4 days until I get home. So yeah, it'd be great to get on and chat. But oh my God, there's a lot of sheep there. Why are they all heading north now? Normally they're going this way, not that way. So they're basically all the way down in that valley, and they're coming up over the hill, and they're now over there now. So they're stretching all the way from there to basically all the way down there. There's a lot of sheep out here, and these ones over here have decided that they want to come up and meet them. So they'll probably walk all the way from there to there and then turn around and go back again, because they can. Sheep. Weird asses. Anyway, still not at the top of this bloody hill yet. We are getting there though. I think we're finally here. So I don't know whether you can see them. Bloody odd animals, really. Here he comes. Bloody glass. Oh crap, there's a human standing there. They turned around and flew off. Oh, there's more of them. So that's a mating pair. They always fly in pairs, generally. You might get a juvenile that's flying along on its own, but they roost together. They are those bloody Cessnas. No, they're not, Chance. they're what they call sulphur-crested cockatoos. So they've got a lot of pink sort of in their breast. Otherwise they're dumb as shit. So yeah, just anyone would think I was standing in a sheep market. These sheep, by the way, are around about 400 yards away. So the road's about 500 yards, well, 450 yards away from where I'm standing right now. Albeit that I'm actually standing, I know it doesn't really show the depth, but it's sort of, I am standing probably right now about 70 metres above the paddock down there. So, and this fog ain't pissing off, which is really annoying. But it clearly hasn't stopped the motorbikes. Mind you, they've gone quiet again. Oh no, they are still out there. They're just a long way away. Meh. Oh, yeah, if you're into your dirt bikes slash off-roading bikes and stuff like that, many years ago, because as you can see, like a lot of this is just open field, right? And it's got these hills where they've kept all the original scrub on. Well, out the back, and it's hard to see, but there's no open paddock. It's just all scrub, similar to what you're seeing around here. Now, some of these hills, you imagine this hill with just purely scrub out there, right? So you've got to get a dirt bike from down the bottom of the hill up to here in effectively what is no different to beach sand. So they come out here, they've probably got around about 70 miles of track through the scrub, and that's what they ram their motorbikes through. Well, everything from four-wheel drives to motorbikes, to trail bikes, to quad bikes, you name it, they take the whole bloody lot through. Most of the vehicles they ride around here are completely unregistered. So in other words, you couldn't ride them on a road. And being that we're only about 3 hours out of the city, they can basically leave work at 5 o'clock and be sitting around a campfire at 8, and then on their bikes at 7 o'clock in the morning and gone all day. And they won't ride on the same track the whole day. And all of it is on this farm. And it's another source of income. That's the bottom line. Because they're basically charging them about $30 a car, per night. So come out here on Friday, you got $60 for just one car, let alone however many other cars come out. So they bring the caravans, the camper trailers out, come out here, sit around the campfire at night, probably do 200 or 300 miles on their bike over the course of a weekend, just going through stuff like this. And he has them booked out basically pretty much every weekend. Sorry, my nose is running. It's a good little bit of income for basically scrub that he can't actually clear. He's not allowed to clear anymore. So you're making income out of something which effectively most people would just look at and go, well, that's useless. So, and people have a blast. They come out here with about, a group of maybe 10 or 15 people, several vehicles, and they camp for the weekend, and then they just get out and just go for it. So yeah, it's a good bit of income on top of the sheep, on top of everything else that he's got going on. So because he does have paddocks, like I said, closer to the roads, closer to the highways where he does do cropping. So you know, there's basically 3 or 4 different sources of income, pretty much. And that's the way a farmer has to actually work. You can't just base your entire farm off one source of income. It won't work. People have an absolute blast. You know, I'm sure a lot of them go home going, wishing that they had this place. And he's probably had more offers for this place than I can poke a stick at, but it ain't ever going to be sold, and it's going to be in the family for as many generations as they can possibly get away with. You know, I mean, I know family members that have actually offered to buy it, so but yeah, he won't get rid of it. And you know, his feeling is, you know, you go out there, you have your fun, as long as you leave the livestock alone, as long as you treat it like walking into someone's house. And that's the way you've got to treat it, you know, as if you've been invited into someone's house. You don't go in there and be a dickhead. You go in there and you treat it with as much respect. By all means, have fun, don't get me wrong, but treat it with the respect it deserves. Otherwise, you know, the moment you don't treat it with respect is the moment that you're told that you can't come back. And that's damn fair enough. So, you know, which is why a lot of us have learnt over the years to sort of understand where things are, to understand how far away things are, especially when you're, you know, pew-pewing. So understand what's beyond where you're doing your things. You know, because each one of these lambs, $200, $250. So, and there would have to be at least 300 to 400 of them down there. That's a lot of money, but that's someone's income, and he's got bills like everyone else does. So you've got to be, you know, you've got to do the right thing. Simple as that. You know, otherwise, can't come back. So, yeah. But, yes, I got 100 subs. I don't know how that happened. I really don't. As to who half of them are, I don't know. You know, it's, yeah. And everyone does different things out here as well. I mean, I don't do a lot, really. I don't do as much as what I used to. You know, because I've driven this farm through basically through daytime, through nighttime. I've been out here driving at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's I can't get lost out here. So, you know, it's I've done all that. I've been there, done that so many times. I can't remember. You know, these days I'm more than happy just to sit there by the campfire and read a book or do something like that. You know, just enjoy life. You know, get away from the computer, get away from everything, really. You know, and I mean the wind's picked up a little bit, but you know, it's nothing to be overly concerned about. And it's currently 10:30. No, I don't have your book to read at the moment, Chance, sorry. I can't be reading any recipes at the moment. But the sheep are more spread out now. And that's a big paddock. So they're enjoying life. And do you reckon they care about what's happening in the world? Not even close. They just care. They just care that there's another bit of really good looking grass over there that they can munch on. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Head down, bum up. That's their life. Oh dear. Come on, son. Burn this crap away. I got stuff to do. There's a car coming. I can hear a car. I can't see it. How to stare at sheep. I know, right? They're fascinating. I mean, honestly, it's nice to just find something that you just zone out on. It's lovely. Yeah, I'm not going to explode the car with all my powers. God. Oh, we got mushrooms. Magic mushrooms. Maybe I need those for my mind powers. I can definitely hear a car coming. It's getting closer. You probably can't. Those mushrooms were fantastic. I'm not trying the mushrooms, okay? It's not happening. I want to be here tomorrow, not still lying on the top of this bloody sandhill with chunks taken out of me because a fox found me. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to hide behind the tree. Not that I think they'll even care that I'm here, but they probably won't even notice me. Can you hear him? Can't see him yet. Oh, there he is. Is it a truck? Probably should be. No, it's a four-wheel drive with a trailer on the back. And he's about to come over that hill. It looks... What the hell has he got on the back of that trailer? There he goes. Whee! Oh dear. Zoom and enhance. I know, I wish I could, but I can't. You can hear vehicles coming from probably around about 2 or 3 kilometres away out here. If you remain quiet enough, yeah, they're as blatantly obvious as anything, because the sound just bounces around everywhere. And at night it's even worse, because if they're using their high beams or spotlights on the front of the cars, you can see them coming from around about 5 kilometres away, if not further. There are no secrets. Oh, excuse me. There are no secrets out here. So I've turned up to camp yesterday and straight away seen 2 different tyre tracks going past my camp, neither of which were mine. So somebody's driven past my campsite when I wasn't there. Luckily there were no footprints, so I'm assuming what they did was drove past, stopped, probably had a bit of a conversation about whose campsite is that, and then continued on without actually getting out of the car. And I can see all of that. You can see it all in the sand. You can see where they stopped. You can see where they went forward again and drove off. And you can't see anywhere where they've actually gotten out of the vehicles. So even though I'm not here during the week, the campsite is there. I'm aware that people are actually going to find it at some point, and that's okay. Because I know the people who are going to find it are going to be, well, they're actually meant to be here, and they're allowed to be on this farm. So, and most of us have driven past each other's campsites a number of times. So, because most of us know where everyone is at. So, for anyone who basically has never been here before, they'd have no idea where we even start looking. Most people, when they first come out here, get lost completely. They wouldn't be able to tell you where north, south, east or west is. They wouldn't know where the roads are. So it doesn't bother me that people are driving past, and I always knew that would happen anyway. Whether it be the property owner, his son, their kids, cousins, what have you. So there's a lot of people that come out here and use this farm for enjoyable reasons, and there's also people who come out here and use the farm for work reasons. So, and we're all aware of who each other is, even though we might not have seen each other for 15 years. They still come out here and camp when I'm not here, or sometimes they've been out here when I'm out here. But it doesn't mean that you tread on anyone's toes, and we all know where each other are. So it doesn't bother me that the cars drove past. What would have bothered me more is if they'd gotten out and actually started wandering around the campsite, which they didn't do. So, because I know what my shoe prints look like, and I know what everyone else's looks like. So, and because it's all sand out here, like I said, there are no secrets. There's no sneaking around unless if you know what you're looking at, then you're going to see it. So, and it's the same, you can see my footprints there, over there. It's pretty obvious that I've been up here. So you can't hide. As much as there's an awful lot of scrub. But at my campsite, it's a little bit more open, and if somebody steps out there with different shoes on, I'm going to be able to tell, even if there has been rain and wind. You can tell instantly. So yeah, but I might leave it there. My hand is getting awfully cold. In fact, I can't feel it anymore. And I don't have my gloves on. This hand's okay. But the one holding the phone isn't. And I don't have a selfie stick, and I'm not going to bloody get one either. I look like a big enough idiot talking to my phone half the time with no one around as it is. So, So we'll walk back to where my trail is. So just as a matter of interest, that big hole in the ground is a spider hole. So the spiders go very underground. So plenty of timber here, plenty of dead timber. We're never going to run out of timber around here. So we'll walk back over to where my tree is. So these are yucca bushes, and you can actually bury down and you can actually eat the roots. Not that I've ever tried it, but I know that is the case. Like a potato, but a little bit more tubular. So one last view around. And we were all the way back up there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, windy, blah, blah, blah. It's not actually that windy. It's only because I was moving. At least you don't hear watering. Uh-huh. Yeah. If that wasn't a uh-huh. At least there's no bloody horse around here that's going to frickin' say hello, and there's no cats that are planning to take me out. There's literally the sheep and the birds, and that's about it. I'm sure there's a billion other animals here, trillions of them, but all of them remain quietly hidden. Oh, they do. Yeah, horses exist here. Hey, Laura. Your timing is impeccable. But, sorry, Laura, but my hand is absolutely frozen to the bone. So, because I've been holding this camera for 72 minutes now, so I think it's probably time they find a pair of gloves. Maybe I should bring them up next time. I didn't think it was going to hold the phone for this long, but I did. So, but I hope you all have a lovely day and a lovely evening and a lovely morning wherever you are in this world. Stay safe, and yeah, oh, you really can't see the sheep. Oh yeah, you sort of can. And you guys have a wonderful day. This koala is saying goodbye for now. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.